Getting in touch with executive decision makers. Yeah. Some people say it's impossible these days or it's not going to work. But my guest is going to talk about why it's easier today more than ever to get in touch with them and how you go about doing so. I tell you what, it's not going to be just sending a bunch of crappy emails. This requires some work. So if you don't want to do some work, then don't listen. But if you want to get in touch with those executives, we got something for you. Hey, everyone. Welcome to another great episode of the Sales Evangelist Podcast here on TSE TV on YouTube. I am your host, Donald Kelly, the Sales Evangelist, and I'm so excited for another great episode. I'm so excited to be here with you today. Jeremy Miller. Jeremy Miller is our guest today, and Jeremy has come from a world where he was a software sales rep, did really well, became software sales rep management leadership roles, and then after that, ran his own organization, was a marketing agency that did so well that it actually was sold. And now Jeremy focused most of his time with utilizing branding to help salespeople and organization to position himself and to exceed and to pass their quota. Today, we're going to talk about a simple strategy, this concept of how we can get in touch with executives. And sometimes right now, we might think because it's pandemic or challenging times that we can't get in touch with them, but we are going to prove to you and share with you how that's going to happen, and Jeremy's going to lay it all out. But don't take my word for it. Listen up. Let's go ahead and dive into the episode. Welcome to the show, Jeremy.
Donald, it is such a pleasure to be here today.
Oh man, I'm excited to have you and tackle this topic. This discussion is something that's relevant right now, and it's really around how do we get a hold of these executives, these decision makers, these people who are super busy and they may not necessarily want to jump at the bit to talk to salespeople, but how can we grab their attention and do that right now? But before we dive into all that fun stuff, man, I'm excited to hear about you a little bit. Tell us a little bit more about what you do, Jeremy. You have a book that came out too.
I did. I've got a few books that have come out, but the newest one's Crisis Marketing. And this has actually come out of everything that we have learned from the first 4 months of the pandemic. So I am the founder of a consulting firm called Sticky Branding. And like most of us, we have this BCAC moment in our lives, before coronavirus, after coronavirus. So before coronavirus, I traveled the world. I consulted with companies and I helped companies grow sticky brands. Yeah. But after coronavirus, the dates are just so clear for me. March 11th, they put the travel advisory ban in place. By the Monday after that, the 16th and 17th, we already started seeing the layoffs happen. And that triggered a deep emotional reaction for me. I grew up in a family business in the recruiting sector, and our business would go up and down with the job market. So I can tell you in vivid detail what every recession has been like since 1989.
Wow.
Because we grew through that. And when I joined my family's business in 2004, we didn't know when the next recession would happen, but we knew it would come. And from the moment I joined my family's business, we were contingency planning for the next recession. And in the 08-09 Great Recession, our family business, Leap Job, didn't have any slippage in sales. We actually generated a new customer per week while the rest of our industry was plummeting. And so when you fast forward, I hadn't thought about any of this stuff before March. It's been 10 years roughly. And we had this situation happen with the lockdowns. And I went to my clients and said, look, we could be seeing revenue declines of 40 to 60% this year. We need to get out of this very quickly. And I retold my family business story. And long story short, what I did is I feel like I've been preparing my whole career for this moment, that I took all of my family business experience and everything we've done in Sticky Branding to really focus on today's mission, which is how do you find and replace the customers and revenue taken by COVID-19. And the new book you mentioned, Crisis Marketing, it's available for free. It's very purpose-driven on why we're putting this out there, but it shares lessons from the first 4 months of the crisis on how companies like yours and mine have bounced back and recovered the revenue and are actually slingshotting out of this crisis. So I think now is just a really brilliant time to reinvent ourselves, especially from a sales context.
Man, first off, that is amazing. Like, I think if somebody finishes right now, maybe they're driving home and they have to stop listening right now, I think they just got like a huge education there with the whole idea of the recession and preparing for those recession and how you guys did that. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot more details into that, and probably be another episode that we can go into. We'll probably pull out some of those ideas today. But it's fascinating how the preparation, it's like the ant and the grasshopper, right?
Mhm. For sure.
Where
Well, a lot of people talk about COVID as an agent of change.
yeah,
I don't think so. I think it's an accelerant. And I don't know about you, but for me, like days feel like weeks and weeks feel like months. And we have accomplished so much in the last 4 months. It's insane. And we are taking ideas that we were thinking about 4 or 5 months ago, but we're too busy working on our businesses
yeah.
to actually execute on them. But when the world blows up, you go, oh man, I need to act and I need to get off my duff and get stuff done.
Yeah. You know, and the funny thing with that, my COO, Shannon, she is really, really genius. But
Mhm.
that's why we put her in that position. So one of the things that she pointed out to me, she was around the idea of kids and how sometimes kids with technology, there was an article she read how kids have a higher rate of adopting technology quicker than adults or even folks like you and me. And it's like, why is that? Because kids, they're not afraid of breaking stuff.
Right.
So my son just ordered. I don't know how he did this, but Comcast on our the remote, dude
Mhm.
ordered. He's one, not even one yet. In 2 weeks he'll be one. But he ordered a movie for goodness sake. And the idea that we are going back to was that she was saying was kids don't they push everything, they push every
Right.
button, and they're not afraid of breaking it. While us as adults, going back to the conversation you had, like say 6 months ago, we're like that's pushing the barrier too much. We don't want to go into that market. We don't want to try that type of thing. Let's push off on a virtual thing a little bit. We got time, and we're
Mhm.
afraid of breaking. And you can't be afraid of breaking stuff because this is the and right now proves, like you said, accelerator. It proves that if we are not afraid, we can break stuff and see what works and experiment. And it's like a necessity at this point. Am I making
For
sense with
sure.
that?
100%. And I think this segues really well into the theme for today, which is
Yeah.
executive access. Because if you think of all of your clients right now, every CEO, every business owner, every executive is going through the exact same thing at the exact same time. We're all going through the same thing. And if all of our businesses are in a state of change, we're all pushing the buttons, but we don't know where to listen. And so the best source of information isn't necessarily Google. It's a sales rep being well equipped and well armed to have a business conversation to provoke the decision maker. So what we've seen since the start of this crisis is executive access has gone up for sales by 40%. And the reason for that is that business owners and executives are more receptive to ideas. The other key issue is that management have lost their total autonomy for decision making, and it's shifted upwards. But executives make the faster decisions, so they want information. So if a business owner's primary source of navigating this is people talking to them,
Mhm.
sales's role in this has never been more important.
Oh man, I mean, I couldn't agree with you more. We've seen really good performance, like with our sales team, and don't want to go into the numbers here, but it's been okay. We've been all right.
Yeah.
But going back to what you're sharing with the executive, I guess if I'm a sales rep listening to this, how can I make sure that I'm bringing valuable information and that I'm not bringing hogwash or that I'm not bringing just how would you say it, like clutter? Because every sales rep listening to this, they're like thinking their stuff is their poop don't stink and their stuff is important. But
Right.
how do we evaluate that?
Well, I think first and foremost, we have to say it goes beyond the sales rep, and we have to engage the whole organization.
Mhm.
This is strategic in its approach. But if you think of it, there's three ways you can sell. You can do feature benefit selling. This is what I got. These are the benefits, and you're going to go through that. You
Yeah.
can do more of a solution selling perspective where you're asking the customer questions, trying to diagnose need, or you can provoke the customer and actually lead with a hypothesis.
Mhm.
And to me, this is how I think sales reps create value is by provoking the customer or prescribing a solution. If we can take a step back and look at our customers and look at what do they need. And I think this is what's so important right now in COVID is that all of our businesses are changing. So if you can ask the question, who needs our company and our expertise the most right now, and then take a step back and understand what is that need, what are they facing, what are the known needs or unknown needs, and then approach your customer with a hypothesis or a question. Mr. Customer, are you facing this issue? So if I was selling, I would say to a business owner, how has COVID affected your business? And what I'm listening for is, are you down by 20 to 40%? If so, I can ask the question, are you looking for a process to recover the customers and revenue taken by COVID? And in two questions, I can start having a business conversation about their situation and we can put more depth to it. But I think the mistake that we go in is a generic cold call and try and catch them with an elevator pitch versus saying, what do you got? What's going on? And let me talk to you in context. If the customer come back to you and says, you know what, we are crushing it. We don't need anything. We're doing so great. You can say, that is so great. I'm so happy for you. Get off the phone and go to someone else, because qualification is probably more important than selling.
Mm. Oh man, so true on that one. I think sometimes we waste our time with people who are not fit. And go back to what you shared, those three different types, as well, right? The feature benefit, or the consultative selling, or even like you were saying, just like the generic elevator pitch and hoping that something will stick. No pun intended. Sticking my
They're all dead. All those models aren't going to work selling to a business
no.
owner or an executive. They don't even work in the best of times before COVID. So right now, I'm all for being either using a provocative based salesperson, tell someone an unknown and get to it, or
Yeah.
being prescriptive. Do you have this problem? I have this solution. Do you want to have a conversation? Let's get on it.
Yeah. No, I love that. So going back to this idea with executives, well, if a sales rep can well, the sales rep, one, they just need to know their stuff first off and understand the customer and
Yeah.
what potential challenge a customer may have to go with a hypothetical or a hypothesis or to agitate. They really need to understand the customer's business. So I guess I go back to this: is it more than research that sales rep need to do, or understand industry knowledge, or is that not even necessary? Because some sales managers like Donald, man, I don't want my folks sitting here doing encyclopedia research all day. How do we go about making that possible?
As I've said at the top, it's not about sales skills, it's about strategy. That the organization, the sales manager or the business executive team has to be looking at the market and asking the question, where do we play? How do we win? What
Hmm.
are the issues that our customers are facing? And then how do we adapt our products and services to this? And then taking that messaging down to the sales team. Now, sales is integral in this whole process because they are the people delivering the message. So, what is your feedback loop as they pitch and they get wins and losses, capturing that either in the CRM or in a survey to know what's going on. But there's this feedback loop that's got to go between sales and management in order to make this work. A sales rep on their own can absolutely do this. It's just called being hyper aware and researching what your customer, who they are, what they need, and having business conversations for it. But if we're talking about how do we grow an organization's sales, it's more than an individual figuring it out. Those are unicorns. Those are your best sales guys. And yeah, they're amazing. But what about everybody else? So we need to, at a sales organization level, look at how do we execute.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think that's where, going back to the idea you share with the strategy and this concept, it's the holistic approach. I feel like it's almost, I think about it like a football team. You can't just have a star receiver and think that's going to help you to win the game. Your quarterback got to be in place. Your lineman's got to be in place. Running back got to be in place, and somebody's got to give the coach got to give that play. Shot,
Yeah.
give the call for that.
Would it be helpful to give you a specific example of this?
Yes, please, man.
Okay. So a company I work with is called Fruitland Manufacturer. They make pumps that would go on the side of vac trucks or fracking trucks, and so they manufacture and use all North American steel and aluminum manufactured inside of North America. Now, one of the things that we have been noticing, one of the issues with COVID is you need to watch your competitive landscape, and one of the greatest opportunities from a sales context is watching where your competitors are falling down. And so in Fruitland's case, what has happened is two of their key competitors are either dependent on manufacturing happening in China or they're based in northern Italy. So
Mm.
they have had supply chain issues since March, and the supply chain is actually running out of pumps. And so we at a management team have a weekly huddle that includes their sales team, marketing, and executives. And it's just a 1 hour meeting. And what we talk about is the competitive landscape of what's going on. And so the sales reps will feedback based on what are they hearing in the field, what's happening with these distributors, what are we learning, where are we winning, and marketing then takes that information and starts running Facebook campaigns saying available now. We're pushing these types of information, but management also was listening to say, okay, where do we need to put more inventory, or what do we want to emphasize in terms of our sales campaigns? And it becomes a fortuitous loop where we're all working together in order to serve our customer. But the sales team is actually very deeply involved in the adaptive side of this. It's not just one message that was said back in March. We're paying attention to what's going on in the market, what's going on with our customers, what's going on with our distributors every single week. And that knowledge and that feedback also makes the sales reps that much more effective, because they're not figuring it out on their own. They're actually hearing, say, Chris White, who's the CEO, give them feedback and direction, and he's also listening to what they're saying. It's very much team-based selling right now. You can't do any of this type of work on your own. Like, this idea of the lone salesman, that concept died ages ago. We're
Yeah.
working in complex environments with a lot of data and really well-educated customers. If you want to sell to a business owner, you better be damn good at your job.
Oh man, dude, man, you're this is a gold. If you're listening to this and you're looking for something to change your career right now and your organization, you need to make sure you've, one, start following Jeremy, and then two, you need to listen to this episode twice. um, but no, I'm a big proponent of that, and I love the example there of how marketing got involved. Everyone just played their position, everyone did their stuff, but again, it flowed down, and it's a real life example, real life analogy
Sure.
that folks can take and apply. How do we get started with this? You said management from the top, but let's say I'm an executive, I'm listening to this, and I'm said, yes, I want my sales team to get access to Vito, very important top officer. I want him to do this. I want to kick off this process. Shy of bringing you in to do that.
Yeah.
How could we start?
So I think the first place to start is to bring your team together and set in in your either your weekly sales management or a second meeting to actually have a meeting to talk about your value proposition and sales efforts on a weekly basis. It doesn't have to be long. It can be 30 minutes or an hour, but it is a dedicated meeting to talk about how do we sell right now, because this is a shifting playing field, and it will continue to shift for the rest of this calendar year. Now, once you bring your team together, the first question to ask is to take a look at your customers and ask need, and say, what are the issues that our customers are facing right now? So two simple questions. How has COVID affected their business? And what is the state of their business? Are they leading, or are they bleeding? Are they somewhere in the middle where they're stable or slipping? And if you can get very relevant to where your customers are and what their needs are, then the question that will lead you to in your weekly meetings is, how can you serve it? And so what are the questions that are keeping up your decision makers at night? What are the tactics that are working? What isn't working? And if you approach this as a team sport and that you're learning on the job, then that's going to be the cultural shift that I think is so important to what sales strategy should look like after coronavirus.
Interesting. Yeah, I feel there. And I think you bring up the after. I can see how people, I feel, I had this conversation with a couple people that we are not going to go back, or at least most companies, to the way we did things before. And it's because of this reason. Because if I'm an executive and I've been adopted to sales rep coming in with the approach that you're saying right now, I'm going to wash out all the other order takers or people who are just trying to pitch me afterwards. Because there's no way that we can go back. It's like, why go back to a Pinto when I'm driving a Mercedes right now? You know what I mean?
But you're hitting on what is potentially the elephant in the room then, is we are going to have to redesign our sales organizations over the next year. So one of the issues that I just hit the chair spot.
Bro, we have to. We're
Yeah.
going to have to. There's absolutely no way we could survive going back to it.
Well, so I grew up, my first sales job out of university was in CRM. This is going back to 2000 when I started out of school.
What company was that?
It's now called CGI. I sold Maximizer Enterprise for Notes, which is a Lotus Notes product. And talk about being a hot potato in the .com era. I sold the same product for 4 companies in 4 years.
Yeah.
So in that period, though, we went through 9/11. And after 9/11, we went from getting on planes and doing demos to WebEx.
Yeah.
And the software industry embraced online presentations and online selling 20 years before everyone else, but it's been standard ever since 9/11. We are seeing the same thing when I look at all of my industrial clients that are selling engineered products with outside field sales forces. They are all learning what software sales reps learned 20 years ago. And that's going to be permanent. But in that, we are also seeing that, so we're going to see designs change and lead generation principles taken from SaaS and other industry, from primarily SaaS and software to
Hmm.
other industries. That's going to be one major shift. The other major shift is this idea of executive decision making is probably going to be with us for the foreseeable future, at least into 2021. While there is uncertainty, budgets won't be drilled downwards. And so we are going to have to recognize that we are dealing with executive decision makers that are non-receptive to inbound marketing tactics, which means they're not Googling, they're not looking for this stuff. So they are dependent on sales reps overcoming and jumping the line to have conversations with them. So we need to go back in time, get our time machines out and look at what sales strategy looked like in 2005 before social media and ask the question, how did we get executive access then? And then how do we use tools like LinkedIn, Sales Navigator, and everything else to hyper accelerate that process or give it steroids to juice it up? But the inbound SEO strategies that we have been using for the last 5-10 years, they've basically been made obsolete overnight. So we need to level up our games big time, especially on demand generation.
Oh my goodness, I couldn't agree with you more there. And there's so many people who are afraid of it. Like it sounds like you're being they'll probably take us out to the stake and try to burn us for saying stuff like that on this episode.
Well, not to knock millennials, but if you've only been in the job market since say 2010,
Yeah.
you probably never had to prospect. Serious. If you're a young sales professional under 35, then I don't think much of your time is spent on prospecting. Now, if you've been in that kind of environment, you've got a competitive advantage that you should use. But if you've never done it before, if all you've been relying on marketing inbound leads, this is the moment in time you need to level up, because you're not going to be surviving on inbound leads and marketing in 2021 when management has to choose who to keep and who to not keep. Hunters win.
Yeah. It's true. I have this. I have some folks that I am very closely associated with, and they just hate the idea of cold outreach. And I'm like, well, you call it whatever you want. You can figure out ways to warm it up. You can reach out on I said Netflix, on LinkedIn and make the connection, and then go for your outreach. Yeah, but there's something about doing it outbound, sitting back and waiting for the phone to ring, or that we're going to cross our finger and then a bluebird land in our lap, or that somebody's going to give us a referral without us soliciting anything. Good luck, and you're going to be an unemployment line. And it's sad. I'm not trying to say knock that, and it's sad that it has to happen. But some organizations are going to keep, like you said, the hunters around, people who are helping out.
So then let's give them a tip on how to do this.
Let's
I
make it
think the
happen.
most important question that you can ask if you want to hunt is ask who knows about a need before you. So rather than just cold calling the CEO of your target company, ask the question, who in their organization knows about the need first?
Yeah.
Or externally, who are the people that know about the need, whether they're your centers of influence or referral partners? And if you can build relationships with those people, they are going to be the ones that can introduce you at the right moment at the right time. So we can take the fear out of blindly prospecting and just ask that simple question, who knows about a need before you? And it'll make your life so much easier.
Oh, love that. You guys, I'm telling you, this is some gold. You need to make sure you learn from Jeremy. And this is just a 25, 30 minutes episode. Imagine if you were to connect with this guy and have a session with him or partner with his organization. Think about where you would be. So with that, Jeremy, I think you gave us that last tip. I was going to ask you if there's one major takeaway, but you kind of gave it away already.
Just jumping the gun. We got so many tips here, but this is such a great topic. It's sales is the sharp end of the spear when it comes to business development after COVID. And I think your job, if we want to put it as the final thought,
Sure.
is your job right now is essentially an essential service. If your organization's revenue has declined due to the circumstances of the pandemic, then what your business needs more than anything else is revenue and cash. And the ability of the sales organization to adapt, whether it is doing smaller deals, faster deals, whatever it is, it's you are the sharp end of the spear in terms of keeping your company alive. And I think every sales organization needs to activate and do it with purpose, because the companies that do this fast and adapt fastest are going to have the competitive advantage at the end of the day. But also, you're preventing your coworkers and colleagues from getting laid off.
Oh my goodness. You couldn't say that any more powerful. It's amazing. And it's true. So, Jeremy, if folks want to get in touch with you, want to learn more about you, how did they go about doing so?
Easiest way to find me is just Google Sticky Branding. The website stickybranding.com. I'm on all the social networks at Sticky Branding. And the ebook we mentioned at the top of this is up on my website. It's called Crisis Marketing. It's free. Download it. I'd love to hear what you think of it.
Done. And also, if you're watching this on TSE TV on YouTube, you can go ahead and just scroll down below and you'll see a link there as well. And if not, go to our show notes on our website and check it out there. Jeremy, we appreciate you coming on the show. Thanks again, and I appreciate you.
Donald, my pleasure. Thanks for all the work that you're doing too.
Anytime. That was Jeremy Miller, and I recommend you go ahead and connect with him. You can find all the details by just scrolling down. If you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, you can see the links. If you're watching this on TSE TV, same thing. Just scroll down. You see some links below. Connect with Jeremy. Tell him that Donald told you all about him and about the great things that he's doing. And check out his book, too, and his great brand. Some amazing things that he's taken advantage of. He's on Instagram, and we have a link to that as well. We want you to go check out Interrupt. It's one of the newest podcasts, part of the TSE Studios family, and you can find all about that. You don't have to be a woman to listen to that podcast. However, as a male, you want to make sure you can promote this, because we want to make sure that everyone gets the opportunity to get into leadership. So check it out. You can find the details all in the show notes, and going down below to the notes there and the links, you can check it all out. As always, guys, I do this because I want to help you. I want you to succeed. I want you to find more of those ideal customers. I want you to know what to actually say to them when you reach in touch with them. And I want you to be able to close the deal. But most importantly, I want you to go out each and every single day and do big things. Thanks so much for watching. Hey, thanks so much for taking the time to watch this video today. If you enjoyed the content, I ask you to go ahead and hit that like button, that thumbs up in the bottom right-hand corner. Also, to make sure to subscribe if you haven't done so already. This way, we'll keep you up to date with all the latest sales strategies, latest tools, and things that are going to help you to not only find more prospects, but to close more deals. Thanks so much.